What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to this week's all-new Pacific Rim video. And you know, after last week's video about the beginning of the Kaiju War, a time of widespread fear and panic in the Pacific Rim universe, I found myself really curious about the systems and structures shown in the movie that came out of that we kind of just take for granted, that we don't really think about. One of those structures that really caught my eye was the Kaiju category system. It's something that people heard a lot about over the course of the movie, you know, Category 4 Kaiju this, Category 5 Kaiju, oh my god, and they never really knew what it meant because it was never explained. I personally, for the past several years, thought it probably was based on size or how mean the kaiju looked, but it actually is a lot more complicated and complex than I could have ever imagined. And in fact, the category system has a name that we never even heard during the movie, the Serizawa scale. With categories ranging from 1 to 5, kaiju are graded based on 3 distinct parameters: water displacement, toxicity levels, and ambient radiation produced as the kaiju pass through the breach. Water displacement is essentially a fancy way to say that the size or volume of a kaiju is a factor in the scale. The bigger a kaiju is, the more it will cause water levels around it to rise when it enters from the breach, hence water displacement. Toxicity is another one that, at least on the surface, might seem odd, or at the very least kind of somewhat specialized when it comes to measuring a massive monster, but really it has a massive impact on events after the kaiju is defeated. Besides being colossal and dangerous creatures while alive, the precursors designed kaiju to have a pretty horrific failsafe to make sure they're killing humans and cleansing cities even after they're dead. Their blood, known as Kaiju Blue, is highly toxic. On top of that, when a kaiju dies, Kaiju Blue becomes a vapor, releasing into the air and contaminating its surrounding environment, and it corrodes buildings, vehicles, really any kind of structure, and especially humans. Finally, last but not least, the third criteria is ambient radiation from the breach, and this is the measuring stick we have the least information about. All we really know is that when a kaiju passes through the breach, it gives off radiation, which we're led to assume is then measured and factors into the scale. One theory is that, much like water displacement, the amount of ambient radiation produced correlates to the size of the kaiju, so the bigger the kaiju, the more energy required to send it through the breach, and therefore more ambient radiation. We don't have any details on exactly how any of this is measured, but seeing as the PPDC monitored the breach well enough to know exactly when and how many kaiju were emerging at any given time, it kind of makes sense that they would maybe have buoys or something set up in the vicinity of the portal to take those readings. And maybe that's where ambient radiation factors in. I mean, that could come into play because, you know, you can detect radiation spikes with satellites, so maybe that's why radiation is included in there, because when the radiation starts kind of flowing from the breach, you know a kaiju's coming through. That's really all there is to the Serizawa scale, though. Ultimately, it's not just about size, it's just mostly about size. But let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and if you have any questions. That's gonna do it for me here, though. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and be sure to turn on notifications to be alerted anytime we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.